and this is a way for us to give back to the student community after we have graduated, and we are just continuing to do that. So we have programs here like every Saturday. We had just like a short musical meditation now, and then we have a short talk, and then of course again we'll have some meditation in the end, and then end with some nice food, some dinner for everybody. So today's, I'll just introduce today's speaker so that we can start with the talk. So today's speaker is very special. Many of you know him. He's a mentor and a guide for many of us here. So he, after graduating from Sunny Albany with his PhD, he was at Microsoft for a couple of years as a research assistant there, and then he moved to teaching, became a professor at CUNY New York. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome him, Gaur Kumar Prabhu. And today's talk is also very special. We have all seen how Gaur Kumar Prabhu, and this we had a small retreat and we had like a small interview with Prabhuji and Nitya Mahiji, his wife. So good to see the relationship that they have, and also he does so much, right? So he's going to reveal some secrets today. I want to know what are the secrets of his life. So really looking forward to it. So yeah, the floor is all yours. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, there's some housekeeping rules. If you want to use the restroom, it's right here. And if you want some water, and if you need anything else, me and Vishal will be here. You just reach out.
So thank you all so much, first of all, for being here on a Saturday evening. The weather is so nice. You could all be in the park or doing so many things. So thank you all so much. It really means a lot. So hopefully I'll not regret that you came here today. So the topic is very interesting today. Typically we don't have such topics, but so the topic is called, can you keep a secret? Can you tell me a secret? So how many of you have kept secrets? Everyone. And how many of you have asked this question, can you tell me your secret? So this is a very common thing. So typically we say, but more common than the second question is the first question, can you keep a secret? You call someone very close, the low volume, you say, can you keep a secret? And usually what's the answer? It's almost always yes. In fact, you don't even have to ask this question. It's a rhetorical question. It's not a literal question. Because when you ask this question, the other person almost always says, yes, tell me. So that is the background for this. So before we go deeper into this, I just want to offer some prayers to my gurus. My guru, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, and also someone who's very close to me, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. So these are two people who have guided me throughout my life. So just wanted to offer my respects to them before I move on. So today I'll be sharing my journey of secrets. Okay, I'm going to share a journey of how it all started, right from the time when I was 5 years, 6 years old till now, and my whole journey of secrets. So where was the first time I was introduced to this concept of secrets, and how it slowly evolved, and so on. And hopefully it will be interesting for you also. And during this time, I'll show you some magic tricks also, just to keep it fun and entertaining. So how many of you have heard of Steve Jobs' talk, the graduation talk at Stanford? If you have not heard, I strongly recommend that you hear it. It's a brilliant talk. In fact, he mentions Hare Krishna also there, if you catch it properly. So one thing that he says in that talk is that you can't connect the dots looking forward. But when we look backwards, so he says, you can only connect them looking backwards. So in our lives, like I can connect looking backwards. Like my whole journey of secrets, I can connect easily looking backwards, and how it helped me evolve as a person. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Okay, so he says you can only connect them looking backward. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in the future. That means the decisions that you're making right now, you have to have that trust because of destiny or karma or whatever it is, that they will connect in the future. Like let's say 20 years from now, you look back, you should be able to connect all the dots. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'll start off like when I was 5, 6 years old, or maybe 7 years old, I was very much interested in magic. This is a ladder that I have here. So, and I used to perform magic tricks right from the time I was in 2nd grade. I was very fascinated by magic. I had a lot of card tricks. Even now, if you give me a pack of cards, I can keep you engaged for like 30 minutes, or maybe more than that, 1 hour or so, with a lot of tricks. So, during this time, when I was fascinated by magic, I would reveal the trick to some people very close to me. I would tell them, can you keep a secret? And then I would tell them what the trick was. But I would not reveal it to everyone, just to some very close friends. Okay. So that is how it started. So that is where I used to ask this question. I would also ask, can you share your secret? Because whenever I used to see a trick, I would want to know how they did it. So both ways. Okay. So after that, and then I found out I had some realizations about magic, and I grew out of it to a certain extent. Then another phase started happening when I entered my teenage years. That's when I started getting into gossip. Somebody tells one secret to you, and then you tell someone else, can you keep a secret? And then you start sharing it to someone else. It becomes an interesting game, like you keep doing this over and over again, and then the things spreads. It's also known as Chinese whispers. I don't know how many of you have heard. So one person starts it with a message, and it goes all around the room. When it comes back to you, it will be completely different. It's like completely out. So that is the second chapter that I'm going to discuss. And I'm going to connect spirituality in all these things, okay, and how I evolved. So that's the fun part. And you'll have to pay real attention to how all of these things are connected to the same ultimate goal. The third phase that I entered is the phase of self-help books. I was very fascinated by self-help books. The Power of Yes, The Secret. I don't know how many of you have read the book called The Secret. So many of you are raising your hands. It's a bestseller for a very, very long time, especially in this generation. It's been the number one bestseller for a very long time. So because it contains the word secret, so I'm going to spend some time talking about it. And many people can get stuck at that level itself, with self-help, and that's it. But somehow I was fortunate that I realized that there's something beyond this. I could have just been happy with self-help books, but I felt that there's something deeper, something inside, something more deeper than what the book gives. And I started questioning certain concepts in the book also. So then I moved a little further, and then I started going deeper into subtler concepts. I had certain fears, certain anxieties. So how do I face them? So I started reading books and understanding concepts on, for example, the secret of fearlessness. How do I become free of fear? I had many of these concepts, but because of time constraints, I'm just going to discuss only this one thing. Okay, the secret of fearlessness. And then finally, I got into very deep into spirituality. And then I started reading the Bhagavad Gita. And then in several places in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna actually mentions the word Guhyam. Guhyam is secret. So he tells Arjuna not once, not twice, but at least 5 times that this is a book of secrets. This is a very confidential knowledge that I'm giving you. So then I started wondering, it's a book that's available to everybody. These 700 verses are available to everybody. So what is so secret in this? And only recently, maybe a few years ago, that I actually understood what the ultimate secret is. And I'm going to share that today also with all of you. And it's called the secret of all secrets. So Krishna himself says, he calls it Rajaguhyam. Rajaguhyam means the secret of all secrets. If you want to refer to the verse, it's 9.2, Bhagavad Gita 9.2, okay, Rajaguhyam. So let's start from chapter 1 now. And I'm going to make it interactive with some magic tricks. And since you're all really smart students, so let's see if you can all crack this. So the first thing I want to say is before I even start, I want to reveal something that magicians always say. Okay? The one thing that, if you ask the top magicians, and I've read some books about them and so on, so this is what they say. Okay? The answer to every problem is hidden in plain sight. The answer to every problem, the answer to every magic problem is hidden in plain sight. Okay, what does this mean? That means the solution that you're looking for, or the trick that you're trying to solve, is actually hidden in plain sight, which means you can actually, by seeing it, you can actually get it. But why we don't get it is a whole different matter. So based on this concept, Carl Dunker in 1945, he published an article. He published an article wherein he presented this question. If you're given three things, you're given a candle, you're given some push pins, and you're given a matchbox. With these three things, what he challenged people to do was that, can you somehow attach this candle to the wall and light it such that none of the wax falls on the table below it? I'll repeat. He said very clearly, he gave very clear instructions. Can you attach the candle to the wall and light it, and no wax should fall on the table below it? So he gave this question, and very few people were able to solve this. Let's see if any of you can solve this. Okay, Sudhanshu.
Put the box facing the wall, take the candle, put a pin in, light it.
Wait, say that again. Sorry, I'm
So take the candle inside put the candle inside the box.
Uh-huh.
Push the one side edge of the box towards the wall.
Yeah.
Pin the candle on the wall and light it.
Okay. Anyone else?
Wax falls onto the box, not that.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, Vishal.
You fix the candle under the table.
Fix the candle under the under the table. That's a good one. Then the wax will never fall on the table. Okay. Anyone else?
Any questions?
Anyone else?
You attach the candle such that it's only dripping on the wall instead of the table.
Attach the candle such a way that it drips. How can you attach it such that it drips?
You can attach it like this. I mean, I don't know.
Okay. Anyone else? One last solution. Okay. So apparently it turns out that many people couldn't solve this. And because not everyone is as smart as Sudhanshu, because he gave the exact solution. So this is actually the solution. So many times when this problem is given, they don't even think of the box as being part of it. They think of the box as just being a container for the pins. They don't even think that they have to use the box to solve the problem. Okay? So this is the solution, and exactly what Sudhanshu said. This is what you had in mind, right?
I had a bit different.
What did you have in mind?
Yes.
I was like, okay, same thing.
Say yes.
But I was thinking the box would be on table, but it will attach the candle to the wall with the pins. So anyway, the box wax will fall off on the box.
Wax will fall on the box. Okay. So what you're saying is attach the candle with the pins,
Yeah.
and then the box. Okay. But anyway, the point is taken that the solution is to use the box, which many people won't even think of. Now, one thing I want to tell you before we move on is that throughout the slides, please look at the slides very carefully, because I'll be giving you certain hints, certain clues for the next trick in the current trick. Okay? So I've given you the solution, and now here's my next question. How do you drink from a champagne bottle without opening
Break it.
it? No, you can't break it. I mean, you can think of whatever you want, but that's your solution. Break it. How do you drink from a champagne bottle without opening it?
Heat it.
Heat it? What happens if you heat it? No, but yeah, without opening it.
Opening it, no.
So I'm sure you're on a roll. Come on.
Puncture it, but it breaks the bottle.
Now make a hole in the cap.
Make a hole in the cap.
What if it's already open?
what if it's already open? No, it's not open. You see, it's not open.
Buy another bottle and open.
Buy another
Bottle.
and open it.
Nice finish.
But you have to drink from the champagne bottle without opening it. From this champagne bottle.
The hole appears to be appropriate. Somehow put a hole somewhere.
It's still opening.
Anyone else? Nobody? Remember what I told you. The solution for each of these things will be in the previous slides. The solution for this was already there in the previous slide. I'll go back. I won't be doing this again in the future, but this time I'll do it.
There's a painting as well.
Do you all see the painting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So what?
It's open from the bottom. Ready.
No. You still don't get it?
No. Is it boarding? Like
So what the question was, see the question is, how do you drink from a champagne bottle without opening it? So you invert it, there'll be a curve inside. Take another champagne, pour it into it and drink it like a cup. You're drinking from this champagne bottle.
Oh, yeah. That's a wordplay.
Yeah, but still, this is what, I mean the solution was there. But this is correct. So how do you drink from a champagne bottle without opening it? Yes, you pour it. I'm drinking from the champagne bottle without opening it. Right? Okay, now going forward, please be very attentive to the clues that are going to be in every trick. I won't do a lot of tricks, but I'll just do a few more tricks. So here's another one that I'm going to show. Now in this one, I'm going to open 6 cards. 6 cards, okay? Now you have to focus on only one card. Focus only on one card and keep thinking about that card, like in your mind. Just keep thinking about that card in your mind. Okay, that's your goal. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix all the cards and I'm going to remove that card, one card and throw it away, and I'm going to open 5 more cards and your card won't be there. Okay, so now this is the trick. Okay, now let's just, all you have to do now is just look at one card and just focus on it. That's it. Just one card, focus on it, and then just keep thinking about that card in your mind. That's it. Don't do anything else. Done? Everyone done? Okay. So now, as I told you, I'm going to remove one card randomly. Mix all the 6 cards. Remove one card. I put them all face down. Now, if I've done this thing properly, all of you would have thought of exactly the same card.
I think I know this.
Yeah. All of you would have thought exactly of the same card. Okay? Now I'm going to reveal them. Is your card there?
I know what happened.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
None of the
All
cards.
are changed.
Yeah.
All the cards are changed.
Yes. So what happened here?
All the cards.
So this is the solution, right? So these are the cards that I showed you initially. But when I showed you the second time, they were all different, but they look very similar. Right? They look very similar, and this is a trick. So basically, all magic tricks are like this. They try to fool you into certain things that, you know, that may not be true. Okay. So the next one. Are you ready for the next one? The next one is this one. Okay. Now here is a problem where I have 2 glasses. I have a dollar bill. Now I want to put a salt shaker in the middle without the dollar bill falling down. How do I do it? Right now, if I leave it, it will fall.
You bring those
Glasses together.
Both glasses together? No.
You don't mention like whether the bottle should be above the dollar bill, so you can.
There's no wordplay here. There's no wordplay. It's a proper trick. It's a proper trick.
Maybe remove the salt from the shaker and spread it. Maybe I'm not sure if it's still the
Salt from the shaker and spread it where?
top of the note, I mean without bill.
No,
Not sure
no.
if it's
See, this is the thing. So, not all problems need to have a complicated solution. Okay, some are very simple, and this one is also very simple. And interestingly, the answer was there in the previous slides.
Use a card and then
Use a card
place the
under it.
bill on that.
What's that?
Use a card and then place a bill on that. And then
No, these are the only things that you have. There's no card. I'm telling you again, the solution was there in the previous slide.
Put champagne bottle in.
None of you are paying attention. No, this was second one. The previous trick about the cards. None of you remembered what was there
In the card trick,
in the card trick.
there's a clue.
There was a clue. There was a clue in the card trick.
What was there? My card was not there. What was there?
The card's probably there.
Maybe the backside of the card had something.
So this dollar bill is
Proper dollar bill.
Proper.
It's not like a hard.
Can we sing
It's
that?
not
Yes.
harder.
You see that? If I show it to you, you'll know the answer. Right? Let's see if anybody remembers.
You're not allowed to move the glasses, right?
No, no, you cannot move the glasses. Anyone?
so you need to make
The salt shaker stay on the dollar
Should
bill.
I-
stick.
Yeah.
It's like we can just rotate it horizontal and place it. Like
Rotate what horizontal? The salt shaker? Like a
It's
horizontal?
straight. Yeah, you can just place it horizontal so it balances on. both
Oh,
sides.
like that. No, that's not. I want to keep it like this only, not the horizontal.
You can remove the glasses.
Do you have to hold
Huh?
it?
Yeah, put it on the
Do you have-
floor.
Put it on the floor. No. I want this dollar bill to hold the salt shaker.
You don't have to. You have to leave it, right?
Yeah, you have to leave it. You can't
And
hold it.
maybe hold
Just
the
draw
note.
a salt shaker.
Hold the note? No, you can't hold anything. So after this stick, the thing hangs
Just
on.
draw a salt shaker on the bill then. It'll be
Okay, since now nobody got it, I'm going to go back, and this time I want all of you to really pay attention going forward. Okay? So the solution is here.
Yeah.
What is going on
Spread
here?
the
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, you can.
Cut-
you
cut the-
folded the note so that it has.
Yes. Can you explain?
Make it
Sure.
Okay, okay.
Sorry, can you see here? The two cups here. This is the dollar bill, but what is going on in the dollar bill?
It's folded.
It's folded. Try it at home later. You fold the dollar bill and you keep it, and you can keep a salt shaker easily. It won't fall. It won't go through it.
Depends on the weight of the.
You can no. I've tried it. It works. I wanted to do it, but I didn't want to.
And there's only $1 bill still.
Only $1. $1 bill. But if you just fold it nicely and then expand it and then you keep it, it will not
And the
fall.
pressure.
Yeah, the pressure is
distributed.
distributed.
Yeah. I recall the place where it was, but I did not know.
Okay, are you having fun so far?
Yes.
Okay, the next one. And this one, I'm going to give you some. So in every slide, whenever I have the sign of Bhagavad Gita, that means it's something that I'm going to share which is connected to spirituality. Okay, so now at this point in my life, I was told by these magicians that there are three secrets of magic. There are three secrets of magic. And now when I look back, those same three secrets are actually very much connected to spirituality. What are they? The first thing they told me is that you can fool people by misconceptions. What is misconception? Misconception is where a certain part of the problem, we misunderstand a certain part of the problem because of how we are used to seeing it or because of how it is presented. So in the first case, where I showed the box, because you're not used to seeing it being used in a solution, and because you think that it is used just to hold the push pins, you can't think of that being part of the solution. So you don't even think about it. At least Sudhanshu did, but others did not. And also because of how it is presented, right? So in the second trick, in the card trick, when I was presenting it, I presented it in such a way that you couldn't actually see it. It was a misconception. So this is one trick that magicians use all the time. The second thing that they use is they exploit the assumptions that we actually make. So assumptions is when we assume something about part of the solution that we have little reason to assume. Okay, but still, because of assumptions that we have done in the past, we just start thinking that it's an easy assumption that I can make here also. Okay, so but it seems to us as if we do have a reason to assume this. Okay, so that is the second one. So misconception, assumption, and the third one is expectations. We have certain expectations is when we expect the solution to go in a certain direction, thus stopping us from thinking in other directions. Okay? So these are three main psychological tools that magicians use to trick us. Now coming back to the same thing that I started with, I started by saying the truth is hidden in plain sight. Now coming to the spiritual aspect, these three same things can be used in spirituality. Like in this world, the misconception is that we are the body. The biggest misconception or misunderstanding that we have is that we are purely this body. There is nothing beyond this. And because of that misconception, we start making so many assumptions, we start having so many expectations. If someone who exclusively thinks that this is it, I am this body, and there's nothing beyond this, that person will face challenges, a different set of challenges later on, which we'll come to, but at least that is the misconception that we are presented with. The whole world is also presented to us in such a way that it actually is an illusion or misconception. We have talked about this in depth when we discussed the Matrix, when we discussed Truman Show. So that is the first thing. The second thing is assumption. So somehow inherently within us, we all assume that we are going to live forever. Even though we see death around us all the time, we still have this inherent assumption that somehow I'm going to live forever. So that is an assumption that we make, which can also put us in illusion. In fact, I don't want to make it too negative, but in a few short years from now, like in 20 years ago I was where you are. Okay, so in 20 years you'll be in your 40s, and then 20 more years, 60s, and very quickly your life will be over actually. But still we start making plans that we will live forever. That's a big assumption. And the third one is expectation. We expect that happiness is just in this world. Happiness can be achieved just by acquisition. Acquire, you'll be happy. But happiness actually is through realization, not by acquisition. So that is the third point. So these are three things that I learned from Bhagavad Gita after reading Bhagavad Gita for the last several years, that the secrets of magic are the same secrets that are revealed in Bhagavad Gita about this world and about us. Okay? So that ends my first chapter about magic. Oh, actually just one last thing which talks about all three things, one final magic trick, and then I'll stop, I promise. So this is a magic trick that I had done before and none of you got it. So this time I'm going to do it and I'm going to give you the solution also. So this is a trick. If you remember this trick, So I'm going to at some point, at some place cut. So this is a thing that I cut from the newspaper today. So it talks about Major League Baseball is back, blah blah blah, whatever, right? So now I'm going to move my scissor from top to down and I'm going to cut it at a certain point. Okay? And then I'm going to move away. One of you are going to take this and then read the first word and then keep it with you, and I'm going to tell you what the word is. Okay? Does that make sense? So who wants to volunteer? Someone in the back. You just have to say stop. That's it. I'm just going to keep moving my scissor down. You just have to say stop. Yes. What's your name?
Sahil.
Sahil. Okay, Sahil. Ready?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to look. You just tell me where, and then I'll stop. Okay? I'm not going to keep. This is ahead of me, so I won't even know what the word is.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay? This is ahead of me. Please trust me that I'm not looking at the words.
Okay.
So you tell me stop, and I'll stop exactly that point.
Stop.
Okay. Now I'm going to go away. Now somebody take that sheet and then give it to Sahil, or somebody else can take a look at it. Okay? I don't know what the word is. You can all pass it. You can all take a look at it if you want. I can remember it's these three things. Okay. Okay. So now Sahil, just look at me. Look at me very carefully. Think of the word again and again and again, and I'm going to guess that word.
Okay.
The word starts with C.
So should I say yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yes. So you keep thinking about the word and keep looking at me. Is it colleagues?
Yes.
Wow.
So how did I do it?
Through spirituality, you will
Spirituality?
spirituality,
Yes.
you get magic.
So maybe like the hint of the word was somehow in the portion that you already have.
No, it's just a normal. You can look at that. See the
You
thing.
throwed another shit
Like-
from your pocket.
No, I didn't have any other shit. I didn't have any other shit. I cut it and I whispered it. I didn't even do anything else. I just moved away.
I think you have particular places. In
Yeah.
No, because he said stop and I stopped.
No, but you were moving at a fixed pace and
That's right, you
know,
were at a fixed pace.
when I reached 5, you
Maybe you had a set of
Yeah.
words, the first line which you remember, like few
Yeah.
common words.
No.
Because
No.
At the back of the
why
vehicle,
like you didn't cut through the word? Like you know?
That's also why I didn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, because there
Okay.
must be some.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Again, dear friends, the answer, the solution to this trick was there. Is there in the slides?
Previous slide,
In the slides. Sir.
this slide.
Okay, you could read the behind.
No.
Is it exactly similar?
can you show the other one? The half?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can show you. But you tell me now, the answer is there. What?
The answer is there.
The answer is there. I mean, answer is there means, what do you see there?
Jumbled up,
You are
jumbled.
not giving us that. So that
I'm going to give you. The answer is here. Yeah, the answer is here. But the answer is, what do you see there? What do you see there?
letters.
Letters, but are they normal letters?
Upside down.
They are upside down.
Oh, okay, I think I know.
Now can you think about what's happening here?
I think
Oh,
when
you saw the
cut-
reflection?
No.
No, I
come
think
on,
when you
guys.
cut, this page got folded back.
No, not that complicated. It's inverted. What is inverted?
You can look through the light and see, right? What's what you are cutting?
Nobody. The letters here are all inverted. This whole thing is inverted. It's not. It's supposed to be read like this, but I put it like this.
Oh.
So-
Oh,
And I stuck it. I
and
stuck
it
this
fell
thing.
into the last word always.
So all I need to remember is the last word.
Yeah, got it.
And wherever I cut, this word is the one that's going to come to you. And I knew that that word was colleagues.
It's stuck like this. The paper is like this. So if you
So
cut
you
it.
have to remember like.
No, I don't have to
No,
do
you have to
anything.
remember the last
It's
word.
inverted. The letters are inverted. Take a look.
Yeah.
So if you cut it, it's always the last word will be your first word, right?
No, you don't have to compare this, man.
Oh, it's always.
It's always
It's
that.
always
Can I
that.
see?
Sentence का जो यहाँ का last word है, then the first.
How many of you got it?
word of the.
You didn't get it?
It's
No, it's okay.
so how did you
No,
print
nothing
it?
is written.
I didn't have to print anything.
Slowly.
I didn't have to
Always
just share it.
That's
directly.
right.
Not like this.
When he
Yeah.
cuts it,
If I cut it,
he's
it's
cutting it in the middle, right? But then when you read it, you read the top word, which is always.
If it is like this, so this is the actual
Right,
stuck like this.
right.
So I cut it here, I cut
But
it
given
You
here.
have to remember only one
It will
word.
always be my first word.
Yeah.
You set the point when you
Actually,
start.
you
You
got
set
it.
the point. So
Yeah, yeah,
I don't have to remember
Yeah,
any
it's
word.
going to be
See,
whatever.
so this,
I don't think
just
everybody got it.
you just have to remember.
You didn't get it?
Wall.
Because
See,
see,
it's good.
Okay, let me explain. Akshay,
When it
Akshay.
falls.
So,
Let me explain.
so he can cut it over here.
Okay, so now see here. Okay, now see here. The first word here is
Paper is like this. ठीक है. Okay.
VOLVED. Okay, I don't know what that word is. Wall. Wall. Okay.
But what if you
So the only word that I have to remember is this word here, wall. Okay. Now everything here is inverted, and that you can't see from a distance. Everything here is inverted. It's not a normal thing. What I've done is I've taken it and I've stuck it here. Okay. And everything here is inverted. So all I have to remember is this one word, walled. Now wherever I cut, what is going to fall is going to fall, and you will read from here, walled.
Ah.
Got it?
Yeah.
He's cutting the down.
Okay, now I'm going to cut again.
Still is
See, wherever, okay, I'm going to cut. Wherever I cut,
Answers wall.
it's going to answer is going to be walled.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Finally,
Finally.
got it? It's going to be walled.
It's all the colleagues.
Samajh? Everybody got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is. So what happened here is all three were used here. There's a misconception. The way I presented it was wrong. The assumption, all of you can't even imagine this because always throughout your life, you're taught that the newspaper will always be straight. That's the assumption. And the expectation is that you never expected this. And you were expecting so many different solutions that I memorized this word, this word, this word, this. There's nothing like that. So all three were used in this trick. Make sense? So that is the last trick that I'll be doing. Now let's move to the second chapter. This is a chapter where, does anybody remember from the 5 chapters that I told you, what is the second one? Gossip. So this is interesting because I entered this phase, and many of you during your childhood years also must have gone through this. Somebody told you a secret, or some secret is there, and then you call someone very closely, and then you say, can you keep a secret?
It's still going on.
Is that? Yeah, it still goes on. It still goes on. This person did this. This person did this. This happened to this person. Do you know? How many of you did this recently in the last 6 months? Oh wow, interesting. Everyone. Okay, so this happens quite a bit. But I'm going to share some realizations that what happened in my case. At one point, I used to do this a lot. Okay. At one point, what happened was, I had an epiphany. What is an epiphany? Epiphany is when a light glows, something happens. And then I realized that my hypocrisy lay exposed right in front of me. When I was asking this question, as I was asking this question, I just realized that I'm being a hypocrite. Why? Because the person who had told me to keep this, I was not able to keep it. I am revealing it to someone else, the same thing that someone asked me to do, and I had told yes to them. So this actually struck me in a very big way during my early teenage years. So epiphanies often occur when we somehow see the common in an uncommon light. So this is a very common thing, right? You might just ask this and then you can just move on. But when you see it in an uncommon light, that is when it occurs that what I'm doing right now is actually I'm being hypocritical. I'm not being honest. Please correct me, or if you have any thoughts, please feel free to raise your hands. So it's a rhetorical question, actually. When you ask this question, the hearer hardly ever gives a negative answer. Have you asked this question and has the hearer ever said, no, don't tell me? It's almost all, unless that person is so integrated and so honest, that person will never say no. He will always say yes. He or she will always say yes. So, from the hypocrisy to honesty, what I went through at that time is that instead of using you, the next level is, can we replace you with we? Can we keep a secret? And the ultimate real honesty is when I change the you to I and I say, can I keep a secret? If your answer is no, that means you should not listen to someone else sharing a secret. Does that make sense? So this is the topic of gossip, and this one epiphany helped me go deeper in my spirituality. Okay. So now that I've told you a little bit about gossip, now how would you define gossip? Anybody? How would you define gossip? Yes.
Talking about someone, but that person is not involved in the conversation.
That person is not involved in the conversation.
Or
yes.
talking about them, and they don't know.
Talking about them and they don't know. Yes. Anyone else?
Something in a way that is supposed to be confidential, but you are sharing it with the intent of getting some pleasure out of sharing it.
That's a good point. So we do it because of some pleasure. We get some pleasure out of it, actually.
Pleasure could be key. That person trusted me, sort of like social standing. That could be, I know this much. Like, I'm aware of what these things happen.
Okay. But you're talking more about the reasons why we do it and how to curb it and so on. But I'm just asking the definition of gossip. Yes, Karan Prabhu.
Yeah, talking about some person or some third party, which is actually not going to benefit both of us in the present moment.
Beautiful. So that is the correct definition. So speaking about a situation to someone who is part of neither the problem nor the solution. So always, whenever you feel like talking about something to somebody, think of this definition. Just thinking about this will help. In fact, recently, just 2 days ago, somebody asked me about something, and then I thought of this, and then I said, no, I'm not going to. This is going to be gossip because I'm neither part of the problem nor the solution. There is no point talking about it, and that helped me actually, and that satisfied my heart more than probably sharing it and feeling happy. Okay. Yes.
What about venting?
Venting is fine. Venting is because you are part of it. So here, someone else has done something, this has happened to this person, and things like that. Okay?
And then sometimes, for example, I'm frustrated on my by my supervisors.
Yeah, so here, wait. So the way you coined it itself, you are frustrated about your supervisor. So that means you are involved in it.
Okay.
You are part of the problem.
Okay, got
Now, if I talk about Shah Rukh Khan had an illicit affair with something, that is gossip. Because I'm not part of the problem, I cannot be part of the solution.
it. Okay.
That is gossip. Does it make sense?
Mhm.
So, okay, so now coming to the reasons why we gossip. Why do we gossip?
Socialize.
Socialize. There are two main reasons why we gossip. One solution someone already said. Yeah,
We want to be center of attraction or something.
beautiful. That's one very, very important reason. We gossip because we seek attention. And this especially happens, the people who gossip the most are the people with extremely low self-esteem actually. Because they are the ones who seek attention. Okay? So then they start gossiping because they want that attention. They want someone else to come and say, yes, tell me. They want that attention. That is one reason. What is the second reason? Why do we gossip?
We want to get to know about more gossip.
We want to?
Like we want to know more gossip kind of.
We want to know more gossip. Transaction. How I
Tell you this, you tell me something else.
Oh, you tell me something else. Okay,
Yeah.
that way. Okay. Yes, Samaksh.
So I think as humans we believe knowledge is light, and the more knowledge we have about other people, we want to showcase the world that we know this much. So it gives us a sense of importance.
Anyway, my answer was very simple. Yes, one last thing.
Again, insecurity because we want to bring the other person down somehow.
Yeah. So here is a secret that I understood why we actually gossip. The reason is we often pay more attention to negative things about others than positive things. If it was just positive things, you would loudly say. Because you're focusing on negative things, hey, I want to share a secret. Because somehow we often pay more attention in the negative qualities of others than positive things. And the second one is that we seek attention. So these are two reasons why we gossip. Now, at that point in my life, when I had this epiphany, immediately I thought of practical solutions to help me come out of this gossip. At that time I had not read the Bhagavad Gita, I was not into spirituality, but in my own way I came up with two solutions which helped me come out of gossiping. Now what would you tell yourself to come out of gossiping?
A simple check.
Check of what?
Does this me sharing the information help me or the other person in some way?
Help me or the other person, okay. On a more practical thing, like if you think about it, just think that, okay, your friend has told you something, so Sudhanshu tells something to Samaksh, okay, very confidentially. Samaksh tells it to Dhaval, and then while you're telling, like, is there some kind of thing going on in your head? What if
If the person gets to know, then
exactly, that's the number one reason why people stop gossiping. What if, like Sudhanshu has told you something and you are telling Dhaval, now if you start thinking, what if Sudhanshu comes to know that I've told Dhaval? And then this guy is going to really beat me up. Right? So that is a practical reason why most people stop. Yes.
What if someone
Nitin?
tells you something, but it's a little too much for you to hold it? within you for a long time. So in that case, you tell someone, maybe not like very soon, but like later.
Yeah.
Is it still considered to be?
It
gossip?
depends, and I will tell you what the Bhagavad Gita says about this. Okay, just very quickly. But this is a very practical reason why we don't gossip. But there's a principled reason also. The principled reason is I should treat others as I would want them to treat me. You would want others to treat you the way you want to treat someone else, right? So that is a very principled reason. So one of these two reasons was what I was thinking in those days, in my teenage years, that because of these two reasons, I should stop gossiping. Okay. Then later on, now when I look back from the Bhagavad Gita, I put the symbol there. Bhagavad Gita has a verse in the 17th chapter, 15th verse. It talks about guidelines for speaking. So it mentions 4 qualities. You speak words that are non-agitating, that are truthful, that are pleasing, and that are beneficial. Now you can think and say, gossiping is actually pleasing, right? Somehow there's some pleasure in it. But that pleasure will actually pull your consciousness down. It pleases your lower self. It doesn't please your higher self. Okay? So that is the important thing. And the 2 things that I bolded here are, is it true, number 1? That itself will cut off many gossips actually. How do you know if it is true? Is it true? And the second thing is, even if it is true, is it beneficial? Only then speak. It has to be the truth and it has to be beneficial. Now let's go to our scriptures and think of one example where someone held on to a secret for a very, very long time. And that was not good. Who? Yes. And who held the secret? Kunti held the secret for a long time, even though it was the truth and even though it was beneficial. She somehow chose that I'm just going to hold it within me. Right? And that caused a lot of problems later. But anyway, so coming back to this Bhagavad Gita's message, the second thing that I realize now is gossiping is actually preying on others. P-R-E-Y. So don't prey on others, but pray for others. This really helped. And these days, when I have this intention of praying on others, I stop and I genuinely pray for that person. Rather than praying on them and telling someone else and just putting them down, I just genuinely pray for them. And then that helps at a spiritual level to curb gossip. Okay? So another thing that helps is, if you feel like gossiping about somebody or looking at the negative qualities, one thing that really helps is daily journaling. How many of you do journaling? I strongly recommend this. Strongly recommend journaling. Okay? If I gossip about someone, I try to write positive things about them and pray for them. And believe it or not, if you actually put it in words and write it somewhere, that actually helps you solve this problem in no time, actually. And so the next time, whenever I feel like doing it, can you keep a secret? Immediately I think in my mind and say, so can I, and I stop gossiping. I can also keep a secret. Can you keep a secret? Yes, I can keep a secret, so I will not gossip. Okay? So this chapter is called chapter 2 of my life, and this helped me go a little deeper, in the sense that I was able to stop gossiping because I was looking at certain things in a principled way, which helped me understand that I should not do it to others. And then the third chapter is when I started exploring self-help secrets. This was the phase where I started reading books called The Power of Yes. In fact, you can find any book on any secret actually. If you want to solve the secret for cracking interviews, the secret for looking beautiful, the secret for staying young, the secret for, I don't know, anything else? Anything. For becoming a billionaire, the secret to become a billionaire, the secret to become millionaires, the secret to become peaceful, anything. All of these books are available in the market right now. So I started exploring these kinds of books. then specifically I want to focus on one book that I explored a lot, and that book is called The Secret. And many of you raised your hands when I put this the first time. So what, in one line, can you summarize this book, Akshay?
If we really, really want something, if we keep longing for it, it will happen. Universe will give it.
The universe will give it. If you really want something, and if you keep thinking about it, the universe will give it. Okay? And I was totally bought into this idea for several years. I thought that this is it, this is the mantra. I keep thinking about something, I want this, I want this, I want this, and then I get it. Okay? So anyone else who's read this book? Yes, Kanti.
Yeah, it's like ask and it shall be given.
Ask and it shall be given. It's not even ask, you just think. And what is the law that is focused on in this book?
Of attraction.
Law of attraction, yes. So in one sentence, if I have to summarize this book repeatedly says, all you have to do is think about it and it shows up on your doorstep. Now, I don't want to completely dismiss this, but this philosophy is also known as Mayavad philosophy, because what this is essentially saying is, it's saying that we are God or we can become God. Why? Because whatever God thinks will happen.
Similar to Truman story, right?
Similar, we are God or we can become God. That is essentially, even though the book never uses the word God at all, this is what the book is saying. You think of something, it will happen right in front of you. And how is this? Yes. Right.
So in the book, they are not like justifying it.
Yes.
Like for example, visualization techniques, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they are not giving reasons.
They're not giving reasons. Yes. So all they're saying is, and they're giving tons of examples, tons of things to just prove this point that you think about it and it'll happen. Now, at that phase of my life when I started doing this, I started exploring God for the first time. And then I came across a Sanskrit phrase which says, Satya Sankalpa. This is a characteristic of God. What this means is, only God can think of something. As soon as God thinks of something, that will happen. Then I started going deeper and started thinking that if this is true, then can I start thinking, I should not die, I should not die, I should not die. Then will I not die? Or I should not become old, I should not become old, I should not become old. Will I not become old? I should not get a disease, I should not get a disease. Will I not get a disease? Right? So I started thinking about this, and then I realized that there is something wrong here. Then I went to the Bhagavad Gita again. This is much later. And then I started thinking that our thoughts, everything. We can't say thoughts are nothing also. There have been positive cases, positive affirmations. If you keep on having positive affirmations, then certain things happen in your life positively. I'm not discounting this completely. Please don't misunderstand me. But I'm going to explain the extremes here, so you understand clearly what I'm trying to say. So one extreme is that all this is bogus. Reductionist science. What does reductionist mean? Reductionist science, what does it mean? That means everything can be reduced to something smaller, some phenomena. You take a phenomena of science that can be achieved from something else smaller. So if you take this particular science, what they say is that they deny everything. All your thoughts, everything doesn't matter at all. It's complete nonsense. That is one extreme. Now the other extreme is this book, which says thoughts are omnipotent. Omnipotent means just think about it, it'll happen. It has all power. Thoughts are complete power. Here it says thoughts have no power. There it says thoughts have complete power. Then when I read the Bhagavad Gita, I understood there is some truth to both of these things, but it's not balanced. So what is the right thing? In Bhagavad Gita 18:14, you can refer to this later if you want. In Bhagavad Gita 18:14, it clearly says the mind and your thoughts do play a role, but they are not the only thing. Your thoughts do play a role, but the thoughts are not the only thing. What are the other things? The other things are, it says, the place of action, the performer, the various senses and mind, and the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the sanction of the super soul. All these 5 things are needed for something to happen. Okay, it's not just thoughts. It's not just thoughts. It is so many other factors that are also involved. Your karma is involved, the super soul should sanction it, your senses, your mind, your body, everything has to, there has to be some action also. You see here, different types of endeavor is also needed. Just by thoughts, you cannot achieve it. Thoughts have to be followed by action. Okay? It all starts with a thought, I agree, but thoughts have to be followed with action. If you don't follow it with action, it will not happen. Most cases. Okay? So that is the third chapter. Now coming to the 4th chapter, remember what is the 4th chapter?
Fear resistance.
Yes. This is where the phase where I started getting into certain concepts. Like I was fearful, I was anxious, I had some issues and so on. So I wanted to know about some secrets of some concepts, like how do I get rid of fearless, how do I get rid of fear, how do I get rid of anxiety, how do I get rid of certain things, you know. So the secret of fearlessness. So here I started observing. Now have you seen like a child with a mother, let's say in a subway or something where there's so much noise, hustle bustle going around, but the child is very peacefully sleeping on the lap of the mother? Have you noticed this? You must have seen it in so many cases, right? So the child is happily and completely without a worry in the world, just sleeping in the lap of the mother. So there is no fear on the eyes of the child. So recently, our spiritual master, our guru, was giving a talk, and he said that in Ukraine, when all these bombshells are going on right now, he had a Zoom call with some of the people in Ukraine, and there he found a child just very peacefully sleeping on the lap of the mother, even though there were bombshells going on and things like that. So that child is fearless because it has implicit faith in the protection of his parents, right? And here's another interesting point that I've seen. When we are born, we cry out to our parents. We cry out, we call out, Mom, Dad, we call out. But over time, we forget that. We forget that we have to call out to somebody. And as we get older and older, we completely think that, okay, I can solve everything myself. And we lose that ability to call out to God. And that is an important aspect that I realized. So now here, there are different types of fears that some of you may have. Financial fear, you can have familial fear. All phones are ringing together. And then you have social fears, you have academic fears, and you can also have physical fears. Yes, Nitin, go ahead.
The example you gave of a small infant being, so it might be also because like they don't understand that something is like bothering them or should be something they should be scared of. It's like they don't understand that. That is why they're just like that, because the level of maturity, I mean, like, it's a baby, I know you cannot use that word, I might be missing the word, but it might be because they don't understand what's going on or what's good for them or what's bad for them.
Okay.
So just used to the environment, like if they are in the hands
Good
of someone,
point,
they're
good
supposed
point.
to sleep.
So let me give you one more example, slightly different example. I've seen this also with my own eyes. A child lost in a mall, an infant lost in a mall. The mother is somewhere, the child is somewhere. What does the child do? Extreme fear, loud crying. You have to be a parent to actually know this. Both sides, the mother also cries, the child is also crying. So this is what I mean. But when the child is in the lap of the mother, there is complete peace, complete fearlessness. So that is the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, I'm not denying what you're saying. Sometimes it could be complete ignorance also.
There's a sense of fear as well, like if you don't understand about something,
Yeah.
you won't be even feared of it.
Yes.
Fear of something won't be there if you
Yes.
don't know about it.
Yes.
So
that is an interesting concept also. Okay. So again, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but the concept of karma actually comes in. So now, some children right from the time they're born, you show them fire, they will not go near fire. Where is that coming from? They don't even know what fire is, that there's heat. Where is that thing coming from? So the sense of fear is actually there within all of us. It is inherent in all of us. And it is coming from some previous life. The sense of fear, the sense of achievement, there's so many things that come in with us, and this is one of them. Make sense?
Yeah.
Anyway, so the point is, all of us have some kind of fears. The financial fear, the familial fear, the social fear, academic fear. What if I don't get my degree? What if I get C's? What if I get D's? What happens to my GPA? Physical fears also. What if something happens to me and things like that. And the whole insurance industry runs based on these fears. Right? They're making tons of money just based on these fears, right? So there are so many security measures like insurances, helmets, the whole helmet industry, the buzzer alarms, health checkups. They all fail to free us from the disconcerting sense of insecurity within us. Even though all these things are there, somehow within us there's still some sense of insecurity. Have you all experienced this? There's still some sense of fear, some sense of insecurity. Why?
Because
All these things are there. Insurance is there, my health insurance is there, this insurance is there, everything, home insurance is there, everything is there. But still, there is this sense of insecurity. Why?
You have to
Sudhanshu?
pay for this insurance.
Huh? You have to pay for it. Yes.
life is random, things come up, things happen. You don't have ultimate control of it or everything. So you are in fear that something out of somewhere will come and everything will get you.
Like the insurance is not gonna save you from that event happening, right?
Yeah.
It's that it's a
Beautiful. Yeah.
after that event
Yes.
is what it's going
Yes. Thank you. Anyone else?
You die anyway, in spite of all of this.
Anyway, in spite of all of this. Yes, that is also there. Okay, so I explored a little bit. So again, I put the picture here, Bhagavad Gita. So I explored a little bit on what the Vedas say about it, what the Bhagavad Gita says about this, and so on. So I asked the Bhagavad Gita again, how do I become fearless? How do I become fearless? So here, it gives a very beautiful description. It explains that all fear originates in an unbalanced materialistic conception of life. The material aspect of our life has its importance. It's not denying the material aspect of our life, okay? So we need to feed, we need to clothe, we need to house, and we need to provide for ourselves and our loved ones. It's not denying that. But it originates in an unbalanced materialistic conception of life. So what does that mean? What is that unbalanced materialistic conception of life? So if you dig deeper, Bhagavad Gita chapter 16, verse 10, it says very clearly that when we seek our sense of identity, self-worth, security, and pleasure exclusively from our material positions and possessions, we open ourselves to fear. This immediately opened my eyes, because what is happening here is that the moment we exclusively depend on our material possessions and positions, then we open ourselves to fear. There is nothing else but this material position that I have and this position that I have. That's it. Immediately we open ourselves to fear. And the more we exclusively depend on these things, the more our fears keeps going up and up and up. Okay? Does that make sense? Little bit? Okay. So we prepare, so all the insurances, everything that we have is our preparation for small, predictable and controllable changes, but still, as Sudhanshu mentioned, we consciously or subconsciously dread the huge, unpredictable and uncontrollable changes like death. And is there a way to overcome this deep-rooted fear? Is there a way to overcome this deep-rooted fear that is always there within us? That is the question, right? Again, going deeper into Bhagavad Gita, and I want to tell you one story here. How many of you have heard of the story of this Angulimala and Buddha? So Angulimala was a hunter, and he would get extreme pleasure in killing people and cutting off their fingers and making a garland. Okay, that is what he used to do. And if you see, you can't see clearly in this picture, but of course you can read about it in the internet. He had a big garland of fingers. He would kill people and just cut their fingers and make a garland. Okay, that is what he used to do. So then Lord Buddha happened to come into the forest, and then he said, okay, another person has come, I'm going to immediately kill him and get 10 more fingers on my garland. When he started chasing towards him, he, for the first time, he had killed thousands of people in the past. For the first time, he saw complete fearlessness in the eyes of Lord Buddha. Complete fearlessness. So he was wondering, I'm coming with a big knife to chop off your head, and you're like peaceful. He had a smile. He had a complete, like a blissful smile. And he was just standing like this, standing like this, complete smile. So he started questioning what happened. Like, why is this? Like, you're not fearful at all? Not even a little bit of fear? What do you think is the answer that Buddha gave?
Acceptance. Like
Acceptance.
death is
He
inevitable. Like you'll
Connected to the point that I made before.
He is-
Exclusive dependence on.
He does not. He's not dependent on his life or like his body. So even
Okay.
if his body, like if he cuts his body, like it's not something. It's a material thing, right? So because he's nourished in material life, he doesn't fear it.
Okay, material life, you're hitting the right things, but yeah, yes.
Buddha is an enlightened being,
Okay.
so he realized that his soul is beyond this body and the material world. So when he's like when Angulimala is running towards Buddha, he realizes that there is a soul in Angulimala which does not want this pleasure. So I think he knew what is ahead to come.
Okay, good. Anyone else? One last answer. Okay, so remember one thing I told you, that in the previous slides also, that it is not, don't dismiss material life. Don't dismiss material life, but don't exclusively depend on it also. Like there are two extremes, right? Don't completely depend on it, and the other thing is don't dismiss it also. We need material life. We need to be materialistic, but this unbalanced is what is causing the problem. Okay, so one thing that you should remember is that the more things change, the more we need to embrace the things that don't change. Lot of things can change around you. Lot of bad things can keep happening around you. That is the time when you need to embrace the things that don't change. Okay? Things around you can change, but embrace the things that don't change. So there's a French philosopher who said, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. This is a very powerful quote. Many times we think that we are human beings and the spirituality is just one part of our life. But actually, we are spiritual beings and we are having a human experience in this world. Okay? Now what does that mean? So currently, we are occupying material bodies and inhabiting this material world. That's for sure. The more, here's the secret. The more we harmonize with our spiritual nature, the more we become fearless. Of course, we can't be enlightened like Lord Buddha, but just start practicing this, that the more we start harmonizing with our spiritual identity, the less we start becoming fearful. Does that make sense? The more you understand that you are not the body, you are the spirit soul, the more fearless you will start becoming. So Buddha was enlightened because he completely, fully, without even 0.1% doubt, knew that he was not the body. Now I can say this to you very theoretically, that you are not the body, you are not the body, you are all spirit soul, you are all spirit soul. But how much do you actually realize that? The more you realize that, the more fearless you'll be. Does that make sense? Or any questions on this? Yes.
So I have this doubt whenever we talk about this spiritual, that we are spirit souls and material world should not bother us.
No, I'm not. See, I'm saying Look at the word here.
Yeah.
This is harmonize.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying that we should neglect our body.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we should not care for our clothes and needs and other things. But along with that, harmonize that. Balance. Again, it's all about balance. Harmonize that with your spiritual identity.
Yeah.
Okay? Yes.
I agree to that.
Yes.
But the thing is, will that not suppress the ambitions we have, the ambitions of our family?
Yes. Very good point. So, there is something called detached involvement. See, attached involvement is dangerous. You're completely attached with the ambition, but you must be detached and you must be involved. It's an art actually. But once you crack it, you will never suffer in this world. So what does that mean? You must be detached from the result, but you must still be involved. If you have certain needs, certain ambitions, you should go for it, but you must be detached from what happens.
From the results.
Yes, super important. That is called detached involvement. Most of us are attached and involved. We have to do this. That doesn't happen, we don't have a backing, we fall and hurt ourselves. So detached involvement is the key. Does that make sense? I'm not saying give up your ambitions, I'm not saying, but be involved and be detached.
But that is also confusing because we eat sugar because we want sweetness in our mouth. So if we don't consider the result, then how can we work for it? You know, it's something like if I want a luxurious life, I would study hard and get a job in Meta, Facebook, whatever.
Yes.
So that is my ambition. So it's always I think about the goal and then I work towards it.
Yes.
So I've been taught like this throughout my life.
Yes.
But like changing it completely and not thinking about the goal and just working will that lead me to the correct way?
So I'm not saying, see again, so don't be stuck on Facebook or Meta, whatever. Like that is not your goal. If that is your goal, then you'll end up with problems, right? All I'm saying is, okay, you need a direction, but not a destination. I've told this several times. So what I mean is, okay, I need a job, but it does not have to be Facebook. Then you'll be okay. Then if that doesn't happen, that is where the detachment comes. You're involved, but you're detached. And also, one important thing is, you must be very dutiful in your dharma. If you're dutiful towards your dharma will protect you. Okay, so for that you have to understand what is your dharma. I mean, this is a very deep conversation, but you have to understand what your dharma is, and it's different for different people here. Okay, everyone has a specific dharma. Like the dharma of sugar is sweet. Like the dharma of samaksh is something specific. So what your dharma is, you have to identify that, and that if you support that dharma, then dharma will protect you. But if you don't or go against it, the dharma won't protect you. So that is another thing. So you have to understand what your dharma is and then go according to your dharma and get involved and things like that. But higher than that is complete God consciousness. And I'll come to that a little later, but that's the point I wanted to make. So detached involvement is the key. Anyone else? So before you go to the last chapter, and I'll go through this quickly. Any other questions, thoughts? Is it clear or boring, or should we?
Can you give like more clarity what exactly is dharma?
So dharma, as I gave you the example, the dharma of sugar, what is our innate, quality or quality that is there within us? Okay, so the dharma of sugar is sweetness. The dharma of salt is salty, right? So dharma of humans in general is to serve. Dharma of humans is to serve. Whether you like it or not, we are all serving someone or something all the time. You just think about it. You're serving your boss, you're serving your parents, you're serving somebody all the time. So dharma of humans is to serve. But who should you serve? That is a question that you should think about. Should you just serve your husbands? Should you just serve your wives? If you don't have either, you serve your dog? Or who should you serve? What do you think that will be?
And also like with serving it comes attachment as well, right?
Yes.
When you are serving you get attached to them.
Yes. But that is okay. Whether we get attached is a different thing, but our dharma is to serve.
Yeah.
Our dharma is to serve. Now who you serve is a choice that you have to make. You can choose to serve someone for the rest of your life, but is that permanent? We'll come to that. We'll come to that, and that's the last chapter, okay? The last chapter is Gita's secrets of life. And I really want to talk a little bit about this. Mouse is stuck. So Gita's secrets of life. Now there are several secrets that the Gita actually reveals. You can take the Gita yourself and start reading. There are 700 verses. From first page to the last page you can read. And you might say, oh, what secret? Isme secret kya hai? Everything is there. It's English. There's nothing to hide. So here in Bhagavad Gita 9.2, Krishna is saying, this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is Rajavidya and it is Rajaguhyam. It is the king of education and it is the most secret of all secrets. Why does the Lord call the Bhagavad Gita as the most secret of all secrets? And not just in this verse, dear friends, he actually mentions this in several places. If you see here, I don't want to spend too much time on the Sanskrit, but if you see the word Guhya, the Guhya comes here, Guhya comes here, Guhya comes here, Guhya comes here. This repeatedly, Krishna is saying, I've explained to you knowledge that is still more confidential, the secret, the confidential. Repeatedly Krishna is saying this. And I'm going to talk about two big secrets that God is revealing to us in the Bhagavad Gita. The first one comes in chapter 2, verse 29, and our acharyas call it life's amazing secret. What is this amazing secret? This is the verse. I'm just going to read the translation here. Some look on the soul as amazing. Some describe him as amazing. Some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. This is one secret that the Bhagavad Gita is giving. Now, our Acharya has explained, and I want to read it. The Bhagavad Gita 2.29 indicates that wise people, on coming to know about the soul, look upon it as amazing. Why do they call it amazing? Because their amazement is largely due to recognizing that much of what they are searching at the level of the body was always their own at the level of the soul. This is a very, very powerful point. What this is saying is, whatever you're looking for outside or certain things for you, you're already that at the level of the soul, but you don't realize that. It's such a funny thing, right? So let me show you something here. I'm going to show you a video, if this works. Okay. I'm going to show you a video, and hopefully this works. But what is constant there? The soul. So that is okay. So here's the 2 points that I wanted to make. So beauty is something that we look for, especially at your age probably. So beautiful at the level of the body is a desire that can be sabotaged, that can be destroyed by the looks that we are born with. Nobody can change that. And also by the settling in of age. No matter how much you try, you can't stop this aging process. You can just cover it up with some makeup and things, but you can't stop it. Yet all along, as souls, they had always been beautiful. Our souls within us are always beautiful. That is one concept. And the second thing is that, this is another thing, so attract the love of others at the level of the body. So now, when you start attracting love of others at the level of body, that can be sabotaged by 3 ways. One is by the rejection of someone. The second is by the neglect of someone. And the third is the departure. Let's say you really even get that love from others, but by the departure of that person, that love is sabotaged. Does that make sense? So, what should you do? But yet, all along, as souls, they had always attracted the love of the most loving and lovable person, who is God. At the level of the soul is always attracting the love of the most loving and the most lovable person, and that is God. Okay? So, I'll just summarize this section again. Their amazement is because they understand that they themselves had sabotaged their longing for beauty and love by looking for it in the wrong place. Where were they looking for it? Beauty, love for others. Where were they looking for it? They were looking for it in the body instead of the soul. Of course, it's not a binary. I'm not saying that, okay, completely reject the body and just look at the soul. Come to a balance, come to a midpoint, is what I'm saying. Don't be completely engrossed. That's the point, that's the theme that I'm going to make today. Exclusive to the body is dangerous. Okay? So when they understand that they are souls, not bodies, they are charmed by the simplicity and the profundity of life's amazing secret, which is the path of happiness is not acquisition but realization. Okay? The next thing is, there is this message of love. So Gita actually presents multiple yogas. The Karma Yoga is presented, the Jnana Yoga is presented, Dhyana Yoga is presented, and Bhakti Yoga is presented. Right? And Bhakti Yoga is the path of love, or the path of devotion. Okay? So love, interestingly, dear friends, is one of the most spoken and least understood words in our daily vocabulary. You just say very easily, I love you. But do we know what even love means, right? So love is commonly equated with sensual enjoyment, but does such superficial titillation offer substantial satisfaction to the heart? This is a question that you should think about. Okay? Does it offer substantial satisfaction to the heart? Now the next thing is, as I was telling you, so this is just a quick summary or overview of the various paths of spiritual progress in the Bhagavad Gita. So Karma Yoga is presented, Jnana Yoga is presented, Dhyana Yoga is presented, and Bhakti Yoga is presented. Simultaneously, throughout the Gita, Krishna actually drops clues. Just like how I was dropping clues in the magic tricks, Krishna is repeatedly dropping clues that there is a secret message. What is that secret message? The secret that only a heart filled with love can fathom. The heart has to be... Why can't everybody understand the secret? Because unless you have that love within your heart, you will not be able to experience it. That is why at the end of every chapter, almost every chapter, he emphasizes Bhakti Yoga. Krishna emphasizes Bhakti Yoga at the almost end of every chapter. And I have specific verses and things like that. If you're interested, I can share it with you at the end of this talk. Okay? Now, what is this Gita's secret message of love? So one thing Krishna declares very clearly in 1864, he says that he loves everyone. So God is not a person who doesn't love some people and love some people, some other people and so on. He says he loves everyone, even those who don't love him. Many people don't even know who God is or don't even care about God. But Krishna says that I love even them. But only those who try to love Him can experience His love. If you want to experience God's love, you must at least try to love Him. Then you will experience God's love. Does that make sense? So God loves everyone. Whether you love God or you care about God, He loves you. But if you want to experience that love, you must try to love Him. Very simple. And this in essence is the path of devotion or the path of Bhakti Yoga. Now what is this akin to? You can think of this as a sun offers light to everyone, even those who don't acknowledge its existence or benevolence, but only those who come out of their dark rooms can experience the illumination. And when they choose the path of love revealed by God, by Krishna, He will in turn illuminate our hearts with divine wisdom and spiritual love. And there's some amazing miracles that start happening in your life once you start experiencing the spiritual love. One of them is fearlessness, but there are so many other things that start happening. Okay? Now the question may be, okay, if that is the clear message, then why is Krishna hiding it? Why is Krishna calling it a secret? Why is Krishna concealing it? Why can't Krishna say from the beginning, in all the 700 verses, just follow, love me, love me, love me, love me? Why is Krishna not saying that? Any thoughts? And this is going to be the last conversation we'll have. I don't want to make it too boring. Yes?
2 reasons.
Yes.
Because Krishna does not want us to love Him because He said so.
Yeah.
He wants us to explore and come on the path from our own heart.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful. What is the other reason?
I think I combined both the reasons.
Okay. So it is concealed because of Krishna's love actually. It's extreme compassion. Krishna lovingly accommodates those who are not yet ready to love Him by delineating other paths for their gradual spiritual progress. Some people need Jnana Yoga. Some people need Karma Yoga. They're not at the level of Bhakti Yoga. So He gives all these paths and He says, don't reject me, at least take some path and slowly come towards me through Bhakti Yoga. That is why Krishna is doing this. Okay? And for those who are open-minded, like many of you, and willing to give up envy and accept the path of devotion, Krishna reveals the supremacy of the path of love. He completely reveals it. This path of love and the wonderful things that you can experience. So ultimately, just like how we are longing for love, Krishna is also longing for our love, believe it or not. Because He knows that that is the only way we can become fully and eternally happy. He knows that. And that is why He's doing this out of extreme compassion. Now, okay, this is all good. This is all theory. So Krishna is speaking all this. But does Krishna actually live this? Does Krishna actually demonstrate this? So that is also demonstrated. So the Lord not only teaches love through the Bhagavad Gita, but He also demonstrates. The best example is He happily accepts the menial role of a charioteer to assist His devotee Arjuna. Now, just so you understand, so when the charioteer is riding the chariot, right? The person, like Arjuna, he would have to kick Krishna on the right if he wants the chariot to go right. He has to kick Krishna on the left for the chariot to go left. So Krishna, the Supreme God, is taking such a menial position and is willing to get kicked by his devotee in an expression of love. Okay? Does that make sense? So there are several examples like this. Here's another example where he happily carries the shoes of his father Nanda Maharaj over his head. Why is he doing this? He's the Supreme Lord. He can easily say, I am the Supreme Lord. Why should I carry someone else's shoes, right? But he's carrying the shoes of his devotee. Okay? The unique nature of spiritual master-servant relationship is that just as the devotee serves Krishna, Krishna also serves the devotee. So it's not just one way that the devotee has to serve, surrender. Krishna himself is taking menial positions. Krishna himself is serving the devotee. But he does not serve every devotee this way unless one becomes completely filled with love exclusively for Krishna. That is the key here. And the last slide is that the culmination of this divine love is revealed in the Vrindavan pastimes, where Krishna happily takes a subordinate or intimate role to reciprocate love with his servitors. He happily accepts to be chastised and tied with ropes by Mother Yashoda. And the last slide is finally the climax of the Gita, 1864 to 66. Krishna shares his heart's love in a disarmingly sweet revelation. Okay, so what he says is, because you are my dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Just to summarize, love of God is the purest of all love, the secret of all secrets, and the perfection of all duties. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So should we do Kirtan now or should we?
You can do Q&A, like I think he had one question.
Q&A?
Yeah, he also had
Okay.
one.
So should we just do Q&A or should we do Kirtan too?
Up to you. Take one or two questions in 5 minutes. Kirtan.
One or two questions in 5 minutes.
We are almost ready. Yeah, we
Almost
are
ready.
ready.
13 feet. Okay. Yes, Nitin.
You
You
had
didn't
a
have any
question.
question.
Put your
I
voice
did
on.
have a
Okay.
question. So his question was regarding, remember you told that, let's say someone told you a secret,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was so hurting that you wanted to share it with someone else.
Yeah.
So whether it's called gossip or not.
It's still a gossip or not.
So somebody shared something with you
Yeah.
and
I mean, it's something too much for you to keep it with yourself for a long time. You share it after a very long time, not like
Yes.
soon, but maybe
Yes.
after some time. Someone who's really not connected with the problem.
so whether
That's
you
a-
should keep that burden and keep it within you so that it really burns you. That is your question, right?
Yes.
So my answer is, if it is becoming a burden, you should not keep it. So the example that is given is like hot potatoes. So when a hot potato is handed over to you, if you keep it for too long, it will burn your hand. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So you have to pass it on. But whom you pass it on is super important. If you pass it on to someone, and what your motivation is also important. If you're passing it on to someone just to get some pleasure, or just to satisfy some things, attention needs or some things, then it is bad. But you pass it on to someone who is your senior or who can help you, guide you or understand, then that is okay. As long as your motivation is pure. Your motivation, your intention is always important in this equation.
And
Make
what
sense?
about our own secrets?
Your own
Something-
secrets.
Something
Okay.
long and you kept it secret for a long time,
Okay.
but you're done with the guilt. Now you want to tell someone.
You should. So here again, so it's so important. Again, it keeps coming back to the same point that we all need someone with who is not judgmental towards us, someone with whom we can share our deep-rooted fears, our deep-rooted anxieties, our deep-rooted, burdens. You can say, and that person, he or she, should be able to guide you and listen to you without getting judged. You should be able to completely open up. But that requires a lot of courage, especially these days. It's so difficult for people to open up and share their secrets. But just imagine that you had someone, a genuine friend, a true friend, with whom you could just open up. And that person really listens and really guides you. Wouldn't you love that? So that is what we need. Okay? So hope that
Usually I
answers.
think those are like parents.
For some people, yes. For some people, it will be parents. But even with parents, some people are hesitant to share. Then you can look for some senior people, some spiritually elevated people, and things like that who can guide you. We can talk more about this, but it's a concept of the Guru Tattva which you're talking about. Yes. Anyone else? Yes.
One
ma'am.
clarification.
Yeah.
So the ultimate secret was the very last one.
Yeah. It's 1864 to 66. Yes. That is.
So what was that like when you described like the soul, the
Yes.
happiness that we are seeking at bodily level, but they are like relevant soul. So that's not the secret.
That is also one of the secrets. That is also one of the secrets. The Gita is filled with secrets. The basic secret is about the secret of the soul. So that's why Krishna starts in 2:13, Dehi nosmi yata dehe, by talking about the soul. Initially itself he says about the soul. So there are two things that I want you to take home. One is we are not the body. Of course, theoretically at least, because we can't realize it. If we realize, we wouldn't be here. So at least theoretically understand that we are not the body, we are spirit soul. And the second thing that you have to understand is that we are not God. Many times we start thinking that
It's the fan inside of
What's that?
Somebody opened the exhaust.
exhaust, okay. So you're not the body and you're not God. So two things. The more you start thinking I'm God, I'm the controller, you will hit a very hard rock. Any other questions? And we can do a 5-minute
And
break.
one question was from here.
Yes.
What's my dharma? You asked, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So that again, you got the answer? What is the answer? It's, you don't have to, I don't want to put you on the spot. It's okay. So different people have different dharmas, and we have to slowly but surely understand what our dharma is. So we can understand it not just from our own mental speculation, but again by consulting with someone or someone who's seen us very closely and working with them to understand what our dharma is. We cannot get forced into being a doctor or lawyer, a doctor or engineer, which is very common in India, especially when I was growing. Parents would just dump people as doctor, engineer, doctor, engineer. Tare Zameen Par, have you seen? That is a movie which at least opened eyes of parents to a certain extent. Yes.
Who would you say has achieved his dharma? How would you identify a person who you perceive has achieved his dharma?
Completely satisfied. Simple. Somebody is agitated, not happy where they are placed, you know. The satisfaction is not there, and it's not just external but internal satisfaction. Like how Buddha was, right? Like you can just see he was enlightened. We cannot reach that level, but at least be satisfied in what your dharma is. So I realized that my dharma was not to work in corporate America. My dharma was to teach. I love teaching, so I had to make the shift. So then I'm more satisfied. So that way.
So the concept of satisfaction varies from person to person.
Yes.
So even though for me I can say like I have just enough food to eat and a roof to sleep, I'm satisfied. Wouldn't that like equate to me like having achieved my
No, if that is the thing, like are you completely, if that was your situation, now will you leave everything and go to Vrindavan and just like stay in an ashram? If that is your real calling, and if you really feel that that is the thing, then if you do that, then that you should be happy doing that. But can you do that? So that is the thing. So, but now you have other things that are blocking it. So what is it? You have to question everything that's coming. You know, you're like, why do I need this? Why do I need this? Many times we oversimplify it, like how you're simplifying. I just need a roof. I just need something to eat. I'll be happy. But is that true? Go deeper. Go deeper. You'll get your answers.
No, not the UNC.
Yes.
The Apple one.
Anyone else, Dhawan? Okay, we'll just do a 5-minute kirtan and then stop.
Put it there. The video, put it there.
You can all stand if you want. You don't have to sit.
Yeah.
So anybody, whatever you want to dance, you dance. You chant, you chant. You don't have to chant. No force in any of it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Vishal, you want to play?
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Thank you all so much. Thank the professor once again. We just have dinner.
Dharma thing which you're mentioning is Dharma Rakshati Rakshata. Yeah, did I get it right? Yes. I was reading about it. A mutual friend had what's his third status towards status. And then I was trying to understand what it means. Like, the Dharma protecting you, like he who protects Dharma, Dharma protects them. I was asking Jitendra Prabhu to, is it like, because like, I think that's very misinterpreted in the current Hinduism, like, they think they are protecting